Every landscape photographer's dream is to disappear into nature with their camera. But before I went out on our 3-night canoe trip in Algonquin Park, I packed up my photography gear into a waterproof Pelican case and hoped for the best. With all backcountry camping trips, you need to be prepared for anything, and we got the tail end of a hurricane. But as every photographer knows, after a storm clears, the light can be spectacular.
Well, we made it to Lake Opeongo. It was raining for most of the day. I would say raining quite a lot on the way up on the drive. And then, it was like dry just as we got in the canoe. And then maybe 5-10 minutes later, it started raining. And, we got pretty swamped in the canoe. But we were able to get our tent and tarp and everything set up without too much trouble. It took us quite a while. And it's been pretty windy, but now everything is nice and calm. And the clouds are blowing very quickly away. And there is some beautiful scenery, but nothing in the way of beautiful photography. So I'm, trying to frame up some things. Mostly I'm just spying on the, people across the bay there with this super long lens, 400 millimeters, and I can still sort of barely see them, but make them out just a little bit. Other than that, I think we're going to hunker down. Anne is over there reading her book. And like I said, I'm just trying to get some shots. Nothing's really showing up. So we're going to probably pack it in for the night and see where this goes.
I've been trying to take an image that's a perfect representation of the Algonquin experience. And with this image, I got pretty close, but I got much closer with the last image I shot of this trip.
Well, we did indeed get a storm, and luckily we're okay. The tarp, the tent, everything stayed relatively dry, and nothing, sort of out of camp was soaked or anything like that overnight, so it worked out really well. But today we're looking at a windy day. We got quite a ways to go, and we got quite a ways to go on open water, so we'll be paddling hard to cross these big bays and things like that.
Well, we headed out on a beautiful but very windy day, and we underestimated just how gigantic this lake really is and how punishing the waves and the wind were going to be.
Well, I haven't been vlogging much because it's either been raining or earlier it was so windy. Actually, we decided to skip Annie Bay because we made it through the bottom of the sort of south arm of Lake Opeongo, and then when we made it onto the north arm, it was like white cap waves getting pushed back. We could barely hold steady getting pushed back so quickly. And, we're kind of out on vacation, just enjoying ourselves. So we stopped, at this beautiful point, just a sort of sandy bar that goes out, which is really great. And, we're not really supposed to be here because we're supposed to be at Annie Bay, but by the time anyone watches this, they won't know that we've gone. So really, we've just been relaxing, and I've been looking out to see, what types of things I think I might want to take a photo of later. And actually, I found one, and it looks great. Let me show you. Okay, so what I framed up was just these 3 trees that all are hanging over this cliff, and they're all sort of different ages, different sizes, and 2 of them are kind of leaning out a little. One is kind of leaning in a little bit, but they've all got these intricate roots, just sort of holding on to the edge of this sandy kind of rocky cliff a little bit. And so every now and then the sun comes out from a cloud and just leaves this beautiful kind of dappled light on each of these trees, maybe a little bit of reflection from the water. So I'm just sort of waiting until the light is exactly right, and then I'm just kind of, getting the shot that I want. I'm framing this up so that basically the shoreline gives me a diagonal that cuts across the entire frame, and you'll be able to see the the trees across the bay there. And I'm going to probably stack this photo so that what I end up with is a bracket, because the sky is just way too bright and it's quite dark, sort of underneath this tree cover. So other than that, I've got a couple of flowers off to one side here, but I'm not really sure they're going to make it in. I'm just going to kind of play around and see how this looks. And really, it's just about capturing a peaceful moment and showing off these sort of trees and what they're doing. Well, I've just come down to this rocky beach with the 50 to 400. I've been using this thing a lot because this lake is just so massive that you really need the reach of, all the way up to 400 millimeter. I've gotten a few shots at like 135, maybe 200 millimeter, but it's really nice to be able to have that 400 millimeter. It's so peaceful and very different than what we had earlier today. Earlier today, this part of the lake, white cap waves. Now, it's a little wavy, but it's very calm. Probably we would have been able to continue on had we just waited a few hours, but we're settled in. We're pretty happy here, so we're going to stay. This tripod combination has actually worked out pretty well because even though it's not insanely stable and the ball head definitely sags, I'm kind of able to, maybe work out the weight, balance the weight out of this lens on top of it. And then also it's just so bright that I'm shooting at 1/320th of a second, which with, the stabilization of this lens really means that even out at 400 millimeter, I'm able to just sort of get shots without a timer. So the type of shot that I think that this scenery is going to be absolutely perfect for is a really nice background separation shot, especially when it comes to different levels of lighting. So because there's all these different islands on this lake, those islands are maybe lighting up where the background behind them isn't lighting up. This is something a long lens does particularly well in this scenario when there's these sort of different lights and you can compress the scenery, the background and that midground, maybe foreground together to really give you, the scene that you're sort of looking for, where there's those difference of light between those two subjects. Originally, I've been composing this shot just sort of that, like, I can see a little bit of the sky, and I think that's a nice shot. But actually, I kind of tilted it down a little bit, moved the focus point, and was like, well, I wonder if framing it up with the light kind of coming in the top there, and then getting this island, but then more with the waves on the bottom here, and see what that looks like. And I think it looks really nice, actually. I think maybe I really like the way that that frames up and looks a little bit different and kind of makes you think about the scale a little. Well, we're out at day 3. I got some good shots yesterday, and wind just completely died down. We had a really nice, quiet night. No waves even lapping on the beach or anything like that. So we got a little turned around, but we're going to head up to the North Arm for just a little bit, grab some lunch, and then we've had to replan where we're staying. So we're just going to head south a little bit and see where that goes.
Well, shortly after we got to our campsite for the final night, it began raining again. We waited it out, reflecting on the wonderful time we had had, and it just so happens that we set up a nice little vignette. This is the Algonquin experience I was looking to capture. Now, I took 2 images of this, one with very soft light and one with a bit of a sunset glow, and typically I would go for the more interesting light, but actually I much prefer the first one, as it makes me want to get back into the canoe and head out into the calm water, where the second one is a little distracting. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.